Welcome home. It's January 17th, and the episode title is Demon Ponies vs. Computers. D20 Play won the RPG Publisher Spotlight. What we will do is we will push on with writing up gear games even if they don't get back in touch, and we will give D20 Play a little longer. The very first Spotlight interview didn't happen. The first winner, back in 2019, was Right Publishing, and they took months to respond. However, there's a horrible reason why that was the case. The dreadful news was that the company's founder, Stephen Russell, had died in a car accident a few years earlier, and Right was being run by his wife, Miranda. It was an early proof point that I should never hassle someone into responding, and I didn't, as we have no idea what was going on in the publisher's busy real life. It's been a hard start to 2026. I'd call it manic, I'd call it frantic, and with loads of projects and a constant stream of unsettling news from real world events. Perhaps that's why I was grinning while blogging about Space Lord Gwar covering Chapel Rowan. So if you want to see some alien demons singing about Pink Pony Club, go hit up the blog. David LaRocca, artist and founder at the publisher Infinite Black, has also had a rough start to the year as well, and the company's next project, Nocturnus, has been delayed. David does not use words like stolen or theft, but instead talks about unauthorised sales of Infinite Black products. This may have been a crate that's gone missing, or something more personal, such as a fallout with a professional partner, because all we know is that the missing goods were detected when shipping and stock records did not add up. It's serious business. Shops need inventory to sell and survive. There's no new date for Nocturnus. In better news for human artists, Games Workshop is banning the use of AI. Kevin Roundtree, the boss at Games Workshop, admits he's no expert, but he says the company has AI experts, and collectively they're not impressed with the technology. I'm not sure about that. The incredible thing about AI is just how impressive it can be when it's used right, and how dreadful it is when it's used wrong. And no matter what, we have the knowledge that a whole bunch of wrongs probably went into putting it that far. The technology has not been developed in an ethical way. However, I suspect that Games Workshop is actually more interested in protecting its IP and their product price. We all know how fiercely protective Games Workshop are with their look and feel. Games Workshop, for example, would not let Gwar turn up in a gig looking like Chaos Space Marines. I'm sure I'm right, despite Games Workshop slowly pushing to TV and streaming while doing more and more in computer games, where AI-assisted code and special effects are far more common and accepted by the community. AI might be tempting them more than they admit, but looking after their current cash cow is more important. Those thoughts got me started on a project to list tabletop gaming companies with anti-generative AI policies. Wizards of the Coast is in the big names list, along with Chaosium, Renegade, Stonemaier and Paisio. We have already had comments from indie studios to point out their own policies and have been adding them to the list as well. So if you know of anyone else we should add, let us know. Oh, and for the record, Geek Native has had an AI policy since 2022, and it gets tighter each year. Even though, as a blog, there are loads of AI technologies used by giant companies to get our content to your phone screen or speaker. The other big project, I did say I'd been busy, was the death of the safe bet. Now, this is an analysis of N-World's most anticipated RPGs of 2026, a vote in which Deathbringer won. It's the first time that either the publisher, Roll for Combat, or Deathbringer has been listed, and sometimes games keep on getting listed because, despite being anticipated, they don't actually get published that year. While I was noodling around in the data, I noticed something else. This is the third year in a row in which an all-new RPG from an indie creator has taken the first space. Son of Oak took the top spot last year with Legend in the Mist, and Shadow of the Weird Wizard won in 2024. Before then, in the 10 years of data, which takes us back to 2015, it had never happened. I have 3 categories of TTRPGs in this analysis. Original, like Deathbringer, established legacy, such as the 2019 Savage Worlds Adventure Edition winner, and established license, such as the 2020 June's Adventures in the Imperium winner. So, what changed? I think it's the rise of the community, with tech like Discord, YouTube and TikTok helping those communities rise in power. However, 2026 also had the fewest original games in the N-World Top 10 for years. Only 2 made it in. I've called this research Death of a Safe Bet because it means you can't just buy a popular license. You need to earn a community. An indie game I looked at this week was the quick start for Brides of Dracula. It's a bit of a challenging game since Dracula is such an evil git, and you will be playing one of the brides trying to break free from his control. But it's an example of how TTRPGs don't need to be dungeon crawled and can tackle adult complex emotions. If all that has been sensible research, then the giant werewolf monster hurler was nonsense. The werewolf was a real thing, the largest ever trebuchet, and it was used by King Edward against Stirling Castle in the 14th century. History suggests that Stirling Castle tried to surrender, but the king wanted to build and test his weapon anyway. I plugged some D&D monsters, like mimics and kobolds, in to some maths and put a page up in the blog where you have to guess or calculate how far the werewolf could throw the monster. To make it even more challenging, I've decided that some D&D monsters aren't very easy to throw, and so I've assigned a squish penalty to each. How far do you think the werewolf could throw a 40-pound kobold? I suggest the trebuchet could lob it some 613 yards, but that kobolds are not very aerodynamic, and I have suggested a 61-yard penalty. So if you guessed 551 yards, you're spot on. And while I have been launching theoretical kobolds over the horizon, Bronwyn has had her entertainment reporter hat on and written up the first trailer for One Piece Season 2. It's also the first trailer that makes me worry about cancelling my Netflix. And we got a good look at Nico Robin and a glance at Michaela Hoover playing Tony Chopper. That last character will be an interesting one for the live action to cover. Bronwyn was also quick to blog Sophie Turner as Lara Croft. I know we were listing green flags associated with the TV show last week, but honestly, I'm surprised. Sophie looks like Lara Croft. Based on appearance, she has been an excellent casting choice. Now we're on to the final section and have some bundles that we managed to bring to your attention. First up, on the bundle of holding, there's a Strike Force and Champion 6E combo. Strike Force was a famous superhero campaign in its time. On Humble, Bronwyn blogged about Lone Wolf and Cub along with a few other classic manga, and I took a look at the So You Want to Try Out Call of Cthulhu deal and suggested it was pretty handy even to more experienced keepers too. So that's a wrap. Take your demonic pink pony out for a trot, keep safe, fight the good fight, and see you next week.